This is all about the song.
Welcome to the 139th episode of All About the Song. I am your host, Michael McDonnell, and thank you for joining us. On the podcast today, we have Morgan Lever of the band Almost. They've just released a song, What Did You Learn Last? It's absolutely fantastic song. The band Almost just showed up one day on Instagram with these outrageously beautiful photos and with this date of a song coming out, and I was really excited to check it out. And I got an advanced listen, and it's absolutely fantastic. So when we're done this podcast, be sure to check out the song. I have a fantastic conversation with Morgan. He's a wonderful person. This band is a really intriguing project, and I won't spoil the beans. Morgan can tell you all about it in the interview. But come along for the ride. This is going to be a very interesting project. It's a new way to look at music. It's very interesting. It's different, and that's what makes it so exciting. If you were watching video, you are at the Sounds Like Songs Network on YouTube, and if you could hit the notification button, subscribe, that would be absolutely wonderful. We look forward to bringing you a podcast each and every week, and we drop them on Tuesday. So here we are, episode 139 of All About the Song, featuring Morgan Lever of the band Almost. Morgan, congratulations. What
Thank
Did you learn last is out. It is released. I gotta say, you gave me a sneak peek of the song, which I was so grateful for. You put out this huge campaign and you led for it for so long, which was absolutely amazing. But what's it like to have the song out now?
It's surreal. So first thing that I'm just going to put out there for everybody. So Almost is a show. I have been working really hard for the last couple of years to create this idea of this show called Almost. The concept is washed up rock star Ollie Rains suffers the consequences of his past while life moves by him. He gets kicked out of his now super mega famous band, and he's just at home alone, and everybody's moving on and everyone's moving forward, and he's hanging on to the demons of his past without moving on. So the whole entire concept was like, I want to do this marketing campaign. I want to do this whole entire idea where you see this larger than life band that thinks that they're over the top, that they're the coolest thing on planet Earth. We went with this photographer who I've known for ages, Louisa Nicolau, and she is amazing. Check her out on Photos by Louise. Totally cool. And the whole entire thing, I was looking at a bunch of photos from In Excess and the 1975, a lot of bands that people would be like, maybe they're a bit try-hardy. And the whole entire thing was I want to go for it as hard as we can. And even creating the song, I was working with a really, really solid producer, Alex Aprea. He's part of this band called At Dawn's Edge. So give them a check out. Really solid metal. Their singer, Tamara, is out of this world. She's super amazing. And another producer, Spencer Korean, CFC Slade alumni. He does a lot of movie music. And so they really helped me out with the song. And it also turned out completely different than what we imagined it to be. Because at first, when I did write the song, I kind of wanted it to fit the band style a bit more. So I wanted it to sound a bit more like the 1975 and The Weeknd. I keep on going back to that band because I just aesthetically it made sense.
Yeah.
And then when the first, draft of our song came out all together, half of it was like that, and it just was not working. And then Alex and Spencer were smart enough to be like, this is a pop punk song, man. And it. And I'm so happy went in that direction. It's surreal to hear it out on Spotify and on Apple and 30 other different platforms. Cause it's a dream come true in a way. It's oh man, I was pretending to play rock star and now I get to be rock star.
Well,
cool.
So with that, going about the route of developing a band, and those photos look unreal. I've shown them to a couple of people recently, just saying hey, what do you think of these band photos? And because that's all you gave it. Like, that's all that there was. And everyone went like, damn. Like, the image and the idea. And I said to you over the phone as well, like, when I saw this, I was like, wow, this band better be good because they look amazing. Like, it just looked perfect. And it was so cool. And to then now find out that it's a show, you were able to kind of utilize... it's almost like you're utilizing both sides of the coin and getting the benefits of both at the same time too.
Yeah, I think that was ultimately the plan. I grew up playing, I've played the piano my entire life. I've been playing since I was 4. So for people who might think like, oh, you didn't make the music, like, no, I made the music. And I've been playing for an eternity. I played with this guy, Binod Singh, for a while. He's in this band called The Drifts with this guy, Sammy. I can't remember his last name, but Sammy's great. But I've been playing for a while. When I lived in New York, I was playing in this band called the Ballroom Jacks. They're definitely somebody that you guys should check out. They're no longer a band, but like, fuck, their music is just so good. So the music is 100% real. I just thought to myself, like, I want to be able to utilize both things. I do want to have original music. I also really, really, really want to have this show have strictly Canadian music. I think we have unbelievably huge superstars here that it's untapped in a way. I've looked at these girls, the Command Sisters. I've looked at Lovey T. I've been looking at Mono Whales. Like, those guys are not only as talented as like hardworking, and they've got everything going on as like a Miley Cyrus, but like, shit, man, I think that they could be blowing out huge stadiums. I'm really, really tired of seeing the system bringing all of these artists. You have to go to America to then become like something big, or you're just kind of stuck living in the middle. And I don't think that's enough. And so part of my show is I really want to push that out there. So I want to feature their music. I want to feature them in episodes. I've written it in such a way that, it's everything kind of feels and looks like a music video. So I really want to make sure that our voices get heard out there. It's not just like, hey, it's my show and you get to hear my music like 50 million times. We do have a couple songs, but I really want to showcase, like, you know what, man, here in Toronto, it's not just Justin Bieber, it's not just Drake, it's not just Shawn Mendes. Like, again, have you ever seen their Instagram page, speaking of like nice photos, the Command Sisters?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I've met the Command Sisters at an Alessia Cara show backstage, and they were nice.
God.
And
Yeah.
I got invited to the show last minute, and before that, I was at a bar that my girlfriend worked at the time. And let's just say there was beer sampling, and they included me, and I was having a great time, and I got invited to the show. And I was feeling myself. I was having a great time. And I met the Command Sisters, and it was, I don't know if they'll remember, but it was a hoot. It was a lot of fun. But they have such a beautiful aesthetic, like, and they know what they're doing, and their songs are great, and they're focused and driven. And you're absolutely right. It's fantastic to give a group like that the opportunity to shine in this sense.
Yeah, and I really want that more than anything, because like we were talking earlier, and you and I grew up in, I would say, very similar music scenes. Yeah. I remember seeing your band a few times. I remember even playing shows. I think we've even played a show together at the Cathedral, like, to be perfectly honest, before it became a CB2.
Yeah.
And so I'm just, I was reminiscing about those days, and all I could think to myself was like, Toronto has changed so much. I don't know about back then. Back then, Toronto used to just be like a scene show, or I guess very indie music. And I mean that by like 2005 standards, by indie music,
Well, I think that one thing that changed was that the city kind of, like, the entire infrastructure of the city changed so dramatically. And everything blew up. Like 40% of the high-rise cranes in the world were all in Toronto all of a sudden. And so all of those communities, and maybe not the venue right away, but all the places beside the venue and all those places where you would gather and meet, the idea of being at Elvis Monday at the Drake Hotel, and then seeing a bunch of bands, making some friends, finding out that there's a really cool show going on at Rancho Relaxo on Wednesday. And then you go there and you see the same people and you start to talk and you're like, okay, well, and then someone says, you know what, if you like these bands, this band over here is playing at the El Macombo on Friday. And then you're like, okay, great. And then, well, okay, wow. So now I've gone to like 3 or 4 shows. I'm starting to like hang out, create this social scene with these people. And then, back to Elvis Monday again. And it was so great. But I think the fact that the city and I think smartphones had a thing to do with this as well.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I think connectivity became very different. And, it just all of a sudden, it just didn't seem to be possible in that same way. Or the onus wasn't to be out and to, there are a lot of things. Rent went up. Like everything kind of changed so quickly on us that it was really hard to maintain like a scene, basically.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I just know for myself, like, I fucked off and lived in New York for 5 years. I went to acting school there, and like New York was, especially when you're 18 to like 22, like that was the coolest shit on planet Earth. And when I first came back, I was just like, I'm back in Toronto, death. Like, I might as well just quit. So stupid. Toronto's the coolest city on planet Earth. Like, I mean, I love New York. Don't get me wrong. And probably, if you have money, you can live there. If you don't have money, like, that's such a sad existence of, like, sad squatting and ramen noodles. You don't want to do that. But Toronto has it all. And for the most part, minus sometimes the rent, like, it's generally affordable, and also our mid-tier food game is like 1,000 times better. So, I don't ever want to fuck with that. And I would say like going to shows, I don't know in the past couple of years because of COVID, but going to shows when I came back became such a cool experience because now you go to the Horseshoe Tavern and you would go see like 5 bands and they're all just like, I have like all of your albums. Like, this is sick. Like, where did this come from? And it's the community. I have to say, even though there might not be a scene anymore, everybody is so damn supportive. Like the last few months of just like posting up photos and doing all of this, everybody comments, everybody says like, yeah, man, can't wait to hear your stuff. It's like, it's the most amazing thing ever. So I really just, I'm like always in shock. I'm like, shit, guys, you're so cool and you're interacting with me. Like, what did I do?
I feel that same way with this podcast, and it's really fantastic. And I'm really glad that I'm in Toronto and you're in Toronto and that there is that support. It wasn't always that way. And I think that's a new thing. And I think that artists really appreciate and respect and understand how difficult it is and all of the things that you have to do, all the things that go into making, like, this is the weirdest thing, but the hardest thing I always found for bands and shows is to like make sound check by 6 p.m. Like, just to like bust through rush hour and stuff, like that's hard. Like playing the show later, that's difficult. And getting together with the rehearsals, everything to get to a show is so brutally difficult. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but stand-up comedians don't have to, coordinate gear pickups and all of these things. And I think that it's really enjoyable, and I think it's going to benefit everyone in the long run artistically, that we all get along, and we support each other, and we understand what it is. Because if it doesn't start there, where will it start? And I do think that there is a lot of absence in sort of like a local fandom or people that are really like interested in music as they previously were. And we just went through like a 1.5 year pandemic that we are still in. We're still in a lockdown. That's why we're doing this conversation virtually. Like it's really weird because we've like kind of hit a pretty big pause button. And all we have is each other to continue to just encourage and push us along. And, I got to say, too, like even seeing the stuff that you've put together with the almost Instagram page and the TikToks and everything like that, like it's intriguing. Like it got people's attention. And that's also something that I'd really like to commend you on, is that
thank you.
It's not easy. And it's also after you've written a song and you've gotten everyone together and you've figured out who the bass player in the band is going to be. And, the keyboard player is not going to be around. So you've got all of these things that you have to figure out as an artist, as a musician, to then now have to, on social media, show who you are. You're not allowed to play a live show. You can't do anything in person. and you have to like basically explain your persona and your personality and your creativity while keeping mystique and all these things. And then also the biggest thing about an artist is like be cool about it and not actually think like you're thinking, like, which is crazy that artists are supposed to be so mysterious when that, you know, in a world where it's information overload.
It is totally information overload for sure.
But you were able to navigate and capture people's attention, which I think is like a really really cool thing.
Thank you. I was definitely, you know, behind closed doors. It was mostly like me sitting in underwear watching fucking anime and just like on my phone doing stuff like, oh, what's that? Demon Slayer's on? Cool shit. Oh, I got to do this. Sorry, give me 2 minutes. Like there was I think mostly what I was like aesthetically, I already knew what I wanted to do in the first place. And you know, that's always something I've always enjoyed. Even when I think about planning a stage or if I've planned, you know, outfits, this, I always want there to be like an aesthetic presence about it, even if I'm just wearing t-shirts and jeans for a day. So there's a lot that went on, I'd say, like behind closed doors in that sense of just, I looked at everybody. I was like, okay, this person is you're going to look good specifically looking like this, wearing this. Even in a lot of the descriptions of the script of the show, I have down to what color fucking socks they're wearing. So having an aesthetic, you don't necessarily need it. I don't think every band in the world needs it. I mean, hell, Mac DeMarco doesn't need it, and his music is freaking out of this world. He just gets up there in a pair of ripped jeans and smoking a cigarette and plays like fucking coolest music.
Yeah, but if you look at his fans, what do they look like? They look like him. So it's like perhaps his non-aesthetic is his aesthetic. Mm-hmm. And I used to get told, I got told years ago that, and your example is different because this is a show, like there's a whole brainwave that you're working on with this. But I was once told, it's like, yeah, you guys are a really good band, but go watch bands that aren't as good as you and steal their fashion sense. Because they were saying, they were like, I think the thing that they were trying to explain to us is like, if you're good, you stop caring about what you're wearing because you are being good artistically, but maybe the outfit that you're wearing could look a little better. Like there is a thing about being on a stage. If you're going to be on a stage and you're going to be in a band and you look great, like the band The Beaches, for example.
Dude, so good.
Like every outfit, that every time they play a show, every photo, they look so amazing. And right now, like their new aesthetic, like they have like,
dude, that 70s aesthetic is so fucking cool.
It's amazing. But like whenever you see them, they're always like, there's no days off in terms of like coming prepared aesthetically. And I think that there are a lot of bands that maybe don't have that. And I was glad to see that your project, and it was almost a level of importance to see if you do spend the time tailoring an outfit and tailoring an aesthetic, you know, it can do a lot. We were talking the other day too about like Sex Pistols and the Clash and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That was so cool.
Well, it started with a fashion designer like putting it together, like putting the look together. They couldn't like write the songs or create the sentiment or anything like that, but there's an attitude that's pervaded by it, and you're an entertainer. You're entertaining. If you go to Cirque du Soleil, they're not like wearing whatever. It's no different with a band. But I think that, you know, you guys, you really nailed something. I think it was just it's interesting to know it's a show because it makes sense and that like it was just so well thought out. But I want to ask you,
thank you. Yeah.
What about the show? Like how did you come up with the idea? What was the like the idea to go forth with this idea as a where you're taking music and you're putting it to film in sense?
So it came from an actor friend of mine. I was drunk at a TIFF party and and he was just like, there's a couple layers to this. I'll put it this way. A little bit of it was actually out of jealousy of something too. But anyway, the idea first came up from him, drunk at a party. This guy, Eric Hicks, great actor. Definitely give him a check out. He was on this show, Cardinal. And he was like, man, you play the music, you know, you sing well, you act. Why don't you just like, and you know, drunkenly responding back, just like, yeah. So that's where it kind of started. And then my girlfriend fucking loves like cheesy CW shows. Like, dude, I'm halfway through like the final season of Lucifer. I've watched every episode of Lucifer. I goddamn love it. Is it a cheesy CW show? Yes. Do I give a fuck? No. And so we're watching that, but we've watched like so many others together, like Outer Banks and this. And I just remember I was sitting at home and I was just thinking to myself, I want to make something that she would watch. Like, I really just want to make something that she would watch. Yeah, I haven't made music in a while. Let's put these ideas together and let's just go. Let's just start writing something. I'm not a writer traditionally, and I think story-wise I could probably improve and I can probably learn a lot, but I know my dialogue is great. I'm very proud of my dialogue. I'm not going to lie. I'm very proud of it. And I'm also very proud of like all the people that I was able to like bring together that were helping me out. And because there's no fucking way you can do this on your own. Whoever has like ever said you can do this on your own, you're out of your mind. You're out of your depth. You need people to help you out. And the jealousy part, there was a show a couple of years ago that was out. And I understand it's also a band show. And I understand aesthetically and everything, who they were marketing towards. I understand, every choice that they made, all of this stuff. But the show, to me, just really wasn't great. And I've been watching so many web series ever since starting to do the show. And I've been trying to find a web series that's like, that's really just like more than just like a shot over the shoulder here and a shot over the shoulder there. And that has a lot of beautiful colors. There is one, it's called That's My DJ. Great show. Give that one a check out. Kristen Watterson, she directed that one, created that one. She went on to do a couple other things as well. But yeah, I was just like, this is so bland. And if YouTube and the web space is supposed to be the next like big space besides like 15-second videos on a TikTok, then what the fuck are we doing? Not like trying to put something out there that's as like big as just what's on regular TV. Like it's, or I guess on your computer screen. Yeah. I want to be able to go onto YouTube and, again, there are exceptions. There's like a couple of shows that are really great like that. But I want to be a part of that. I want to make an experience for people and I want them to like laugh. I want them to cry. I want them to say, fuck you. I want them to have any emotion and any feeling while watching it, all while seeing all these like beautiful, vibrant colors and these like really like pretty aspects all flowing and coming together. I think it's really important that we start to treasure what we have in that YouTube space besides just like a million review shows. I think we should really utilize like, dude, if this is the future and television is that of the dodo, which it really is because you have so many streaming services, then why not on your most basic platform have the most stunning things to look at?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so there's a band. They're not musicians, they're actors that you've put together.
Yeah. So the actors are, who plays the guitar is Garrett Hanadiuk. I can't ever say your last name, dude. I'm so sorry when you hear this. Garrett was the first person that I came to. And Garrett is a great actor, but also because he's so rock and roll, man. Like he just walks into a room. He usually has like these snakeskin boots. It's so cool. I love him. Honestly, he's so hot. So Garrett walks in, and then there's Tanisha. So she is the dark-haired woman in the fishnet standing by. In the show, she plays my girlfriend. She's not even part of like the fake band. She just plays my girlfriend in the band. The female who has my hair, essentially, because we look almost exactly the same, is Chloe Van Landshoot. I love her. She's fantastic. She's one of my closest friends. Same with Tanisha. Chloe just booked a really big show. So she's over in Halifax right now. And she's going to be filming that for the next little bit. And it's actually really exciting news. She really deserves it. She's also, she's also a registered nurse, and so she was working throughout the entire pandemic.
Wow.
I think the thing that's most wow is that like after a long ass day, that she was still sometimes, for the most part, really able to keep a handle on her own shit. Sure, there's been a couple of cries here or there, but dude, she's the toughest woman. For like, kudos to her. So she really, more than anybody I've met in a really long time, this woman really deserves it. And then Neve Wilson is who I think a lot of people remember from Degrassi, and she's also dating musician Alfie. Super cool. Makes like R&B music, and so she's also in the band. Also, just for fun, I mean, also because it is a band story, there is a revolving door of drummers, obviously, because Spinal Tap was hilarious, and we're like, you have to do that. So yeah, none of the band members know how to really play instruments. I think Garrett can sort of play the guitar. So on the song, Matt Ozzie plays the guitar. Matt Ozzie is also part of the same band as the producer Alex at Dawn's Edge. And the drums, speaking of Birds of Bellwoods, as we were earlier, the drummer is Dylan Gowan. And that guy, man, he can really drum. So I was really blessed with the team who came and I got to work with. And on top of which, we all had the same memories of like pop punk in the mid 2000s. So we all were able to jive correctly. I still haven't met like half of them, by the way, which COVID has made that fun.
Yeah.
So we all still need to like grab a beer and cheers and do all of that. But it was really cool to see them, through like Instagram, like little videos and stuff like that, being like, oh, what am I working on today? And then I would hear a little guitar riff. I'm like, oh shit, that's the thing. Cool.
It's been weird. I have a bunch of those. Even this podcast, there are people part of the Sounds Like Songs crew that have not met each other, that we've just been corresponding with for like almost a year at this point. And every now and then you're in a WhatsApp convo and they're like, hey, it'd be cool if we meet one day. And you're like, oh my God.
You're like,
oh my God. But
yeah.
it is also very cool that things are able to continue, even if you're not able to meet. And it also means that these people want to do this type of stuff if they're willing to.
Yeah.
Because there's,
man.
I mean, a lot of times, like, just showing up is all the effort that you want to put into something. And it's really cool to be, everyone's at their own at-home workstations working, in a sense. And in some ways, it's been more productive.
I think in a lot of ways, it's definitely been more productive, especially when you're, like, stuck in a small room like this. Like, I don't even have any recording equipment. I literally have been using GarageBand for everything. And then, transfer the stems over to Alex and they do that. But I've got a really pretty piano downstairs, but I've mostly just been using this thing right here to just write and create songs. And I think at first it was tough because at first you got like, there's no movement. And then from that birthed this song. There's another song that we're going to be working on really shortly as well. Personally, it's my favorite because it's more, towards a darker direction. It's very Depeche Mode and Evanescence meet. It's cool. I really dig it. And we got a good female singer that's going to be singing on that track. So I don't know, man. It's been a weird process. We've got a lot of music that's coming as well. So, the hope as well is that like you're also going to listen to music with us too. And I'm also always going to be promoting other bands on that thing because I kind of want to work with everybody. If shout out to all the musicians out there. If you need a piano player, I got 2 hands and 5 fingers on each, and I'm okay at it. So happy to do that.
Well, do you think that because you've put this project out as a band that is fictitious, let's say, or for another reason, do you think you're going to experience any blowback when you announce that this is a show?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hell, you're making art and you exist. Of course you're going to get blowback. Is it something I'm worried about? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, in one sense, it feels like, hey, everybody, I lied to you for some months. And that really that part kind of worries me because I'm human, and it would be really weird if that part didn't worry me. And the other side of me is like, well, man, performance art is performance art. So this is a version of it. I mean, hell, like the Gorillas are technically a cartoon band, and it's not a lie, and it's great. The music is all real here, so it's not like the music isn't real. It's just the people that you're seeing, those are performers, man. It's just a different kind of performance.
Well, I think the reason I asked this, you and I kind of talked about this yesterday, and I thought that I think that this is so cool. I think that this is unique and exciting, and I think that you've used this in a really interesting way. I play in a band called Kadima. I was at a rehearsal earlier today, and we were in between. We were going to run the set twice. In between the first and second time, I kind of looked at them and I thought, like, hey, can I run something by you guys? Like, have you heard of this band Almost? And they're like, no, I haven't heard of them. And I showed them the photos and stuff, and I was like, so this is a show. This isn't a band, but they're releasing songs. And I just wanted to get their kind of unadulterated opinion.
Yeah.
They're not mean people. They're not stuck up by any means. So I thought I'd get like a really honest reaction from them.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, that's really cool. Like, they were like, that's great. Like, and how are they doing this? Is cool. Like, the song's real. And I was just like, okay, cool. Like, because I was like, I was trying to think about this. And I think the opinion of music has evolved. As we talked about before, it's very positive now. Years before, everyone got really stuck up where you're like, oh, you're using backing tracks, or, oh, you're using an amp modular. No, you have to use a transistor tube amp from 1964 or you're a poser. Like, if you're not carrying 800 pounds of gear to your show, like, you're just a poser or whatever. And I think that attitude that very much existed and very much was part of the culture was a very negative one. And I'm sure that you probably remember that. Like, it was. Oh,
I totally remember that. I mean, I owned 3 keyboards at one point for the look of it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I used one of them barely. So
it's and I use an amp modeler now instead of an actual amp, and I can take my bicycle to gigs now, and I have 35 steps up to my house. Yeah, I don't want to carry amps. I dropped an amp down the stairs at 3 a.m. once, woke up everyone. Like, I don't want to do that. And technology's here, and I think that there was a long time where you had to have these things in order to look cool. It was almost like a cool person checklist that other people would be judging you on. Those days are gone. And one of the things that the Kadima guys mentioned to me, they were like, oh, this reminds me of Blair Witch Project. When Blair Witch Project came out, apparently they had an advertisement, and it had the 3 main characters who were not superstars, but they put up like posters saying, like, have you seen these 3 people? 3 people lost in the woods. And they were these misleading ads to the movie. So people it just raised a lot of attention and stuff. People were like, oh, there's 3 people lost in the woods. And then all of a sudden, more advertisements came out and stuff. And it was like, oh, this is a movie. And you had this, cultural phenomenon in a sense. But it started with using other tools and platforms and stuff, and a little bit of misleading. And I don't think that that's wrong in any sense. I think that you utilize the tools that you have. Like, we have all these amazing things like Instagram and all these different social media things. I think you just used it to your benefit. And I think you have been able to create, and we're recording this podcast before you've officially announced this, but I think
I know, it's fun.
So, it's just you and me that know this, but I think that it's really cool. And I think that you caught people's attention, and then you have something to deliver that continues the intrigue. So that now people are going to go, oh, there's really cool songs, and it's a show. And at this point in time, isn't that what bands are trying to do anyways? They're putting on a show in some way or another.
That's what I thought, right? So that was also something that I really thought. Something that we will be releasing as well. So we do have a mini episode. It does exist. It's not like it doesn't. So because, when you're creating things for producers to take a look at, they also want a proof of concept. So we made a proof of concept last year, and the idea was making fun of a Joe Rogan podcast. It's called the Vic Kelly podcast. Also, the actor that we hired looks pretty fucking close to Joe Rogan as well. And it is balls to the wall, probably one of the worst like interviews of all time. The only thing that because we'll release it in a couple of weeks, we have to release a music video first, which is done by this dude Luke Wamsley. It's a sick music video. It's very Terry Gilliam. I'm fucking obsessed with it. But yeah, I'll just say, like, do you remember watching Letterman and Joaquin Phoenix on Letterman with the dark sunglasses when he pretended to be a rapper?
Yes, I do. I do remember that.
I'm just gonna say it was heavily inspired by that. I couldn't stop like rewatching that because it was just such a mess from top to bottom. And I thought, you know what? We're in a podcast stage. Let's just fuck it. Like, Joe Rogan's a joke. We might as well just do this. Like, this is hilarious. So there is an mini episode to come out as like our proof of concept. And once we've gotten all of like the song stuff out of the way, we will absolutely be dropping that. Cause I think, I also do want to show people like, hey, this is the show aspect of what we're going to do. I hope you're into that too.
Do you think that, I feel like with film per se, that there's, you need there's so many more people that are involved in the process. What has the reaction been as developing a show as a band concept been like? Do you think that going through it now, like, is this worth it? Is it working?
Yes and no. It depends on what you're doing. Like, if I was making a regular cop drama, I would never do this. This is ridiculous. I think for what we are doing, yeah, it's worth it. It's so cool. And it's so much fun. I'm like literally, when you get to play with action figures as a little kid, but I got to do that with like my friends. So that was awesome. Why would I not be obsessed with doing that? And not only that, like getting the photo shoots ready, getting the song, doing all that, I get to play pretend for real. And it's the best feeling. And we all get to collaborate and we all get to think and we all get to have our say. I'm obsessed with it. So I think in this context, yeah, it was totally worth it. I wouldn't have changed anything about it. Maybe I would have tried to get it out sooner. I do have a couple of the bandmates in particular that were just like, yo, dude, when are you fucking getting any of this out? Are you just gonna sit on it? And
just like a real band.
Yeah, honestly, just like a real band. And, I remember when we were talking about it, I was sitting on my chair and being like, I don't trust anybody, like some bad Star Wars character. It's like, no, dude, shut up. Get your shit out there. It's fine. Like, the only person who's judging you ultimately at the end of the day is yourself. So if you're going to be an asshole to yourself, it's not going to ever come out. It's not going to be good. No one will ever hear it. And then you'll just be disgruntled in the corner and call everybody, oh, it's everybody else who's a dick. No, it's you who's a dick because you're not letting your power out there. Like, send out your stuff, man. The worst thing that can happen is somebody can say, this is shit. And you don't have to agree with them. It's okay. So I would definitely say, like, yeah, this was probably the most worth it thing ever. If I didn't do this, this would never have come out. And I don't think I would have believed in magic. I wouldn't have believed in all this, like, cool stuff. I think I'd probably just be that disgruntled asshole in the corner. I don't want to be that. I want to work with everybody. I want to have fun. I want to play pretend, man. Like, and we can do that, and we can make music all together, and we can make a show all together, and we can do something that we all together can be proud of.
Well, I think the meta thing about this too is that the song, your first song that you've put out, is good, and
Thank
have
you.
more music. And even though you've kind of put together, like, as much as you want to say this is like a show, not a band, there's music and there's going to be requests to play live.
Oh, I can't wait for that. So it's part of the whole entire thing of it. I do want to play live. I haven't played a live show since 2011. So I would really love to do that. And also, like, I'm so old school with this shit. I'm still like in the days of like Taking Back Sunday, where it's like, oh, you still like do a microphone like lasso thing and throw it into the crowd, right? Like, as opposed to watch every performance ever now and everyone's standing with like, they're so calm, they're so cool. And I'm not that person. I'm like, I'm all over the place. So I can't wait to jump around. I can't wait to go back into a crowd. Like, we'll be playing for sure. And I want to have that live show experience because it's exhilarating. Plus, then hopefully people get to know the songs well enough, especially the song that we just put out. It's got so many oddly quotable lines that they don't even need to be good, but just like I can hear everybody saying a damn thing at all at the other end, or I haven't learned a damn thing at all, or even singing a little piano bit. At one point, we actually almost made that little piano interlude as like a sing-along part, and it just sounded a little too cheesy. So, hey, crowd, if you can do it, then you won't make it cheesy. But me by myself, there was nothing cool happening there.
Well, honestly, I think that this is such a cool thing because sometimes, I found in my younger years, we would do all of this work to put together a show, a performance, an event. And then we would do it. You'd wake up the next day and it would be like, now what? Like, now what? And I think that with what you're doing in a weird way is you've kind of circumvented the system in a sense because there always is a next thing because this has so many elements to it. And you're a show and you're playing a band, but you are a band and you're writing music and you can be a live band. And I think that there's like this, almost like this synergy that's going to happen where everything will be real and you can have so much fun with it. And, what I'm looking forward to as a fan of this whole idea is,
Thanks.
I don't know, like the evolution into like a theater show where with dialogue and movies. Like, yeah. Why not? Like, it kind of seems like you have all these things that are happening, all these different mediums. Like, why not have it just like become like a theater show, like a theater performance where you have like live music, songs. You could take the show and you can like create it into a live stage production in a sense or something. Sorry, now I'm taking your idea.
No, dude. Like, you're not the first person to say that. Like, my oldest friend said literally the exact same shit, like almost verbatim. I might also take that idea as well. Like, I think it's great. I'm not opposed to it. Yeah, wouldn't it be cool? You go on the stage, like, okay, the band members aren't real, but also they are dancers. They are performers in different ways, like for real. Like, also not even just like a little bit good at dancing, like frighteningly good at dancing. I'm just, every single time I watch them, I'm like, you can just do that like all day. I don't need to do anything else. Just this is it. Kid, play, monkey. This is great. So I would really like that. And the show is dramatic enough that it could easily translate to that. It's not like it couldn't, especially because like I know I didn't mention this earlier, but the show takes place between like 2007 to 2015. So it's already like over the top, right? You're dealing with the transition from emo pop punk to then this hyper pop stuff, which is so sick. And it's all been incredibly like dramatic to see that change. And so the show, obviously, it's funny, it's fun, it's all this, but it's also theatrically very dramatic too. So it's not difficult to do that translation. Yeah. That would be really a damn good idea. That would be smart.
Hey, you're on your way. Whatever you decide to do, you're on your way. And I got to say that I think that I'm, as someone that does a podcast every week with different musicians, the same story is always different. No artistic prowess is ever the same. Like, that's the one thing I found from doing this show, like every week, is that you talk to artists and sometimes it starts in the same place where, some sort of music at some point in my life gripped me and it was something that I wanted to do, something I related with. It gave me an identity. Where you go from there is endless. And for a long time, in 2007 to 2015 in particular, the idea was very formulaic. Like, this is how you did it. You did these things. You got signed. You got a booking agent. You did a shitty tour. Like, it seemed very linear in that sense. And I think that you're doing something that is so interesting, and you're kind of, cracking open what it is to be a band. You're not a fictitious band. This is a band. This is an artistic band. You have music. I think it's going to be tremendously fantastic, and I'm along for the ride, and I'm really looking forward to what happens. What happens next. And Actually, I'll
Thanks,
ask you
man.
this. And thanks a lot for being on the podcast, Morgan. But
No, thank you. Are you kidding me? This is the coolest experience. Like I get to talk to you. Plus, we know each other from way back in the day in like a bizarre way. Like this is so cool.
Morgan, what's next for you?
What's next for me? We have a producer that's looking at the show, and his development team is taking a look at it. I will also have it ready for other producers to take a look at. I'll be sending that out shortly. We are going to be starting on our next song. It's called Vipers. Super excited for it. Again, like, dude, I've always wanted to make like a Depeche Mode song because they are like The Cure, Depeche Mode, like a lot of like 80s like goth and new wave music is really my shit. So the fact that I'm making something that sounds like that with obviously like a spin on a modern spin on it, it's so cool. So I'm happy that we're going to be working on that shortly. So there is more music to look for. Hopefully, because COVID restrictions are lifting up, it's not going to take a year to make like the last song. So there are things to look forward to. There are going to, we're going to definitely do a lot more live things. I've got a live thing tomorrow. We're doing a live Instagram over at Imperfect Fifth. We were supposed to drop our music video tomorrow, but our publicist, who is so cool, she's so damn awesome. She was able to hook us up with pancakes and whiskey, and we're going to be premiering it on their Instagram and on their blog on the 24th of June. So tomorrow, instead of a music video, I'm doing a live Q&A, and I'm going to be doing another interview with Dingy Girl, and her name is Jo. She's so great, and another fellow, Ian Phillip, I believe his name. So definitely check us out on that. I mean, this podcast is next week, so I mean, hopefully you guys saw it and had some fun, and then that. Yeah, and on top of which, I am also going to be doing a live show. Speaking of which, I can show you the venue that we're going to be doing it at. So we're going to
we're going for a walk with Morgan in this place.
Yeah, here's my backyard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so I'm going to be setting up my backyard in the next couple of weeks. Originally, I wanted to do it on the weekend of June 12th, but I've actually just got entirely too much like work and life happening, so we can't do it on the 12th. So we're going to do it on the 26th of June, just after the music video drop. And I've got a whole team of friends that are helping me out with that. We're definitely going for a very floral effect. I'll just put it that way.
Nice.
And I'm going to play hopefully 4 or 5 songs. And there's a couple of you out there who I'm going to be talking to. Maybe somebody can make a backyard appearance, and that would really make this special, I think.
Well, fantastic. Thanks so much, Morgan. You have a fan in us. You've piqued our interest. We're going to do another podcast again with you.
Thanks,
that
man.
that one will be in person when we're allowed to. But
that'd be the best. That would totally be the best.
I'm very excited for this.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for having me on your show.
Problem. I'd like to thank Morgan for being on the podcast. Be sure to check out Almost. Stay tuned for the show, all of the different things that they're going to do. This is a very interesting way to, are they a band? Is it a show? Is it both? Is it everything? I hope it becomes a theater production, if you really must know. I think it's going to be absolutely exciting to see just the options and the opportunities in the way that they can just become this multifaceted, It's just exciting. It's really cool. I like when people take ideas and spin them. So I'm looking forward to it. For questions, comments, suggestions for a guest you'd like to hear on the podcast, send us an email, allaboutthesongpodcast@gmail.com. We're at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, we are there. And if you could rate and write a review, I'd love you forever. If you're watching on YouTube, we are the Sounds Like Songs Network. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. We release episodes every Tuesday. So on behalf of Morgan, I'm Michael McDonnell. Episode 139 is in the books, and we'll see you next week. You want to come up? Wouldn't be a podcast finish without you, buddy. See you next week.